Hey everybody. So we're here. I'm joined by this guy over here, Red Fox, the
Well,
man, the myth, the legend, the guy that makes it all happen. Below me, Snick,
start, mate.
and our airborne battle buddy, Fitz.
Well,
So
Yeah.
we we are talking everything that was for Operation Stonebreaker 11. Um, so we'll talk pre tier one main game by phase, and then AAR comments to close it out. And I've got some shout outs from the players, which we can put on there. Um, so, all right, Snick, our 16th event, GTI. What were your thoughts, concerns going in?
Man, when you're there so much, it's like the backside of your hand. So you go in and you try to lock down the normal problem points immediately. Other than that, I mean, field setup is just as secondary nature.
So, field
So
setup for us, we were cleaning up messes from somebody else.
yeah,
Theta let us know that they had some issues that they inherited from a
yeah,
previous event host.
yeah. They shut down the
We
control room for us.
Yeah,
You
a
know,
lot of damage. They didn't do
a
the
lot of
damage.
damage in there.
Somebody else did.
Yeah,
Um, the wildlife screen, which we thought was epic. Thanks for putting that wildlife screen there, Brian and the
yeah.
boys. We'll talk about that thing here in a minute.
Uh,
Um, so 707 players by count.
heck yeah.
Um, Red, you've played that AO, Red.
Four
Now you're
times.
on the black shirt side of the house. You're on the staff side of the house now. What were you thinking as far as being on this side of the curtain, going into it?
Honestly, it's getting to know the AO better from the black shirt side, knowing where objectives are, knowing what buildings are what, knowing where roads are. It was challenging, to be honest with you. And I got to say, I got to shout out to Lucky. Lucky knows the AO better than a lot of people. He's been out there many times, and I rode with him, and he zooms. He knows exactly where everything is at any time.
Fitz, and we all thought Fitz had been with us for and it's like, what? Okay, then you bowled me over when you said the following. So
yeah. Last year you kept saying, "Oh, I'm like, no, I've never been here, so first time."
as we're rolling in, as a matter of fact, I'm like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
You Oh my God, you've never. You've never been here. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, you missed out.
So, 16th event.
Well, it was fun this time.
16th event at GTI. 11 Stonebreakers. It's kind of hard to believe we've been there that often. And every time we try, my concern is trying to make sure that we have a design that's different from the previous ones.
Yes.
And do we get it right? Sometimes.
Hit or miss.
More off. Yeah, hit or miss. I'd
More
say
often than not.
we're still shooting. We're not shooting sharpshooter. We're shooting expert. But sometimes we think there's going to be a fight in a certain place, and the players surprise us. Both sides surprise us and fight somewhere else.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
talk about that. Coach had a challenge that if he's able to come on later, we'll get him in here. Coach had a challenge designing the tier one, and we'll talk. This is a good segue in jumping into the tier one. His concern was we've been here 16 times. This is the 15th time we do tier ones because we didn't do tier ones at the very first Stonebreaker. Like how does he keep it fresh? How does he keep it original? How does he keep it relevant to what the players need to know and take into the next day? And people always give me ideas for tier one stuff, and I'm like, yo, that's not my lane. You need to go talk to the NCOs, go talk to Coach. Coach is the freaking committee chief for tier one. He'll bounce the ideas off of the rest of us and go, hey, we've done that already. Oh yeah, that's right. So this one was pretty exciting, and I'll put the screen up so we can drive that discussion.
Yeah, Pyro was on point on this one.
Yeah. Well, all right. So Operation Diablo. So, 3 dismounted lanes: gold, which is the one I was on. You had green, which was the one Snick was on, and then silver, which is the one Fitz was on. And then red, you were with the dismounted platoon, blue platoon.
Straight leg.
Yeah. So I think I'll let Fitz dive in on. We talked a little bit earlier pre-show, but what was special about this to you, Fitz?
So, I when we started, I had the idea what was going on, but it wasn't until we started that last leg coming back that it all hit me. And basically, on my last tour, we had a patrol about halfway through, and we had gotten hit. My PL, an EFP went through his door and severed his left leg just below the knee. Humvee ended up going up in flames. We had a total of 3 casualties on that one. But when we were coming back on the tier 1 and all that started going down, I kind of had a little mini flashback, and I started seeing what was going on, and it got me a little motivated. I went in there and I was watching what they were doing, and I was remembering what happened to us. The PL had gotten hit. We had to slap a tourniquet on him. 2 of us had to pick him up, throw him on the hood of the Humvee. Doc got on the hood of the Humvee with him, held his part of his leg that was still there was hanging on by some pieces of skin, and he had to hold the legs together on the Humvee. And my gunner reached over and actually held on to Doc's drag handle on his gear, and we hauled ass out of there. We gathered up everybody. The gunner, he got burned up pretty good. When the truck got hit, fireball went up the gunner's hatch and just engulfed him. He ended up hopping out, rolled off the hood of the Humvee, hit the ground like a sack of potatoes, and started staggering around by the time me and my saw gunner got there. And and what I was telling Sal was we had gone at that moment from being presence patrol, just ready to, get into a fight, mess some stuff up, to all of a sudden now we're not looking for the fight now. Now we're trying to gather up our people and get the hell out of there as fast as we can.
Yeah.
So it was, we were patching people up as we were going, throwing them in the vehicle, patching them up in there as we hauled ass to the nearest fob. So when the guys on silver, and I talked to them about this afterwards and how this one kind of was a personal thing for me. And I laid into him with the story, and I looked at the kid who was medicing Dallas, and I said, this is why I was getting on you, because he was really trying to get into diagnosing and what do I need to do here and there, taking his time. And I was like, put the tourniquet on him, get his ass in the vehicle, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me like, well, why? And I was like, just do it.
Yeah.
And again, the experiences we had, and I made sure to afterwards to let them know, hey, this is why. Because when you do all this stuff, no one ever really talks about these missions like this, where it never goes right. It's just it went bad, and you never really finished your mission. You just had to change the mission. Now all of a sudden it was medevac. You're getting everybody out and moving. Everybody likes, the shoot gun. Oh, look what we did. Blah blah blah. Get back to the fob. No one ever talks about you can't do the mission because now you got a lot of wounded that you got to take care of. That's priority. Keep your guys alive. Get them home.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a big one for me, and I actually, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but it was something that meant a lot to me.
Yeah. I think when me and Snick were talking earlier, before I do that, so what was cool about this is it was a phased deployment. you had gold, green, and silver head out first. Blue couldn't move out until the three mounted platoons actually conducted their initial hits on Storm, Viper, and Knife. But before we even stepped off, I think the cool part is what Snick and I talked about earlier, and I'll let Snick take it from there.
Well, I mean, the cool part and the most difficult part is the 30 minutes that we get with them to teach them years of experience and then try to narrow it down to how it applies to the mission set in front of them. And the cool thing that Sal and I recognized is when they went into autopilot and they actually started doing their maneuvers by themselves during the time phase training incident, we could step back and listen to the other instructors on the mounted lanes telling and orchestrating the same things that we're telling them. The difference was our personal experiences with IEDs. That was the difference. The doctrine that we were teaching did not vary from dismount left, dismount right, contact left, contact right, calling out contact, vehicle maneuvering, positioning, how to maneuver down the roads using the vehicles, why you don't really necessarily want to scatter off a fucking hardball road into IED country because you might wind up into a fucking minefield. You just shit that us Joes had to experience firsthand that wasn't necessarily taught to us. The reason we have fucking written down doctrine, excuse my language, the reason we have doctrine now that is written the way it is because we wrote it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might not be
wrote it all
perfectly
right.
by the letter, but the greatest thing about the American soldier, and the reason we have doctrine, everybody has our doctrine. It's our ability as American soldiers to adapt, improvise, and overcome the situation. Give us the doctrine and let us develop it to how we need it for that situation. So yeah, Sal, you're absolutely right. The unique thing that me and you recognized was it didn't matter what mounted lane we were on or how we were teaching them how to move with vehicles. It was always the same. I could sit back and I could hear exactly what you were saying, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, we're doing that right here." And I can lean over and I can listen to what Fitz was talking about, and it was like, "Okay, well, there's the doctrine. We're all three of us on the same page." The difference, the only difference was how we taught ourselves to adapt in those situations, and it varied very, very slightly, and it was only because it was personal to us.
And that,
so a mechanized unit, I mean, that was my job. I mean, I have more miles in a fucking Humvee than any other human being should possibly have. I mean, I to be honest with you, this is the most ridiculous fucking badge I think the Army has developed. It's called the driver's badge. It's a fucking Humvee tire. They give it to you for driving what, 500,000 fucking miles incident free or whatever.
Like
it's ridiculous. But yeah, I got one. So, I mean, it's nothing to brag about. Trust me. It is not on my uniform. But yeah, I earned one. So, I mean, it's like the 82nd guys. The minute they wear their 82nd patch in combat and they get it, doesn't matter what other fucking unit they go to in the world to earn another damn combat patch. They wear one the rest of their fucking life, and it just so happens to be the 82nd Airborne badge.
Yeah.
So I think that was cool because it was purely, it wasn't rehearsed.
Right.
We just said, hey, we're going to teach them dismount, remount drills and actions on contact. And everybody went, right.
Right. And I didn't serve with you. You didn't teach me. I didn't serve with Fitz. Fitz didn't teach me. I didn't teach Fitz. Fitz didn't teach. This was all of you got this, I got this. You got this, I got this.
And I thought it was pretty cool to step back and go, it kind of put me in a different place for a second. I looked out and I went, holy shit, this is cool. We're all teaching them the same thing. That's
hell yeah.
The only real differences I saw were just teeny little things like, how to maybe get back on the vehicle this way or that way. Just little stuff that was all dependent on the situation. But the rest of it, it was all the same. Like you were saying, dismount left, dismount right, echoing the commands, making sure everybody knew where they were going, what they were doing, using that vehicle as a base of fire. I mean, it was all stuff that we all knew.
So
Yeah, and how to identify IEDs or possible IEDs, or to pull your map out and to visually airborne see your route that you have to travel and be like, well, if I was the enemy, here are my ambush points around my route. So if I have ambush points around my route, possible IED to set the ambush and collapse. So when we get into the areas, recon, move slow. Maybe you want to dismount your troops beforehand and then move the Vic up. I mean,
yeah,
and I feel like it caught on. I think they actually learned something.
I think they did, and we'll get to
Oh, I know they did.
the blue platoon. Yeah, because we saw it on Saturday. So
Oh, yeah.
talking about it with you guys today, I realized okay, Iron Legion took part in it. FUPA, Jax was in there, and I try to remember the third vehicle. What the
It
third
was
vehicle
Bumblebee,
was?
man. It was
Oh,
the
it's Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
There you go.
Come on, man. That's Green Platoon. We had our shit together. You can't remember that?
I'm sorry, I wasn't there. So the piece was, and this will come back to on Saturday. You had 2 tan Vics getting the experience and only 1 green Vic, and that'll play into when we talk about the main fight as far as who had a better chance of integrating vehicles with dismounts. They even used the new vehicle recovery kit during the tier 1, so a lot of action there. All right, let's play a video to start Red Fox's journey on tier 1. Let me pull that one up. Major shout out to Kukui for getting this done quickly. So, what was the deal? I mean, we knew Coach built a hell of a charge because he tested it Thursday night. But what was that door?
There was wood.
It might as well have been paper.
But Red, what was left of that door? You were there with Blue Platoon. That charge went off, dude. What was left of that door? Because I mean,
so you see the guy reach up and pull that down. There was nothing left, but literally that little 1 inch of the actual door itself. Hinges were blown off. It was shredded into nothing. I mean, that water charge was impressive, Coach. Out of the ballpark.
Yeah. So I had the video of him doing the test fire on Thursday night, where it blew the doorknob, it literally blew it into the building, and shredded the actual locking setup, the door jamb. This, though, like I said, thanks to Kukui, he got it to us clutch here like 2 minutes before the show started tonight, and we got it on the show. Okay, so what was the movement through the jock after that? I mean, how did Blue Platoon get to where they were going?
So once they breached the door, you see the first platoon run in, and they got stagnant. What you don't see is second platoon is sitting off to the left. They want to charge in, but there was a little bit of lack of communication. But once they realized that first platoon wasn't running into the locker room, they backed off to pull security. But once first platoon actually started rushing the locker room and clearing that building, they piled right in.
And for the guys looking out on the video, that was objective truck as they were going into the jock. Yeah. Okay, AAR comments for the tier 1. Like, what do you think players walked away with? So
A sense of accomplishment for sure.
Yep. Okay, but what else?
How do we bring what we learned tonight into tomorrow?
Okay.
I know Silver, the Iron Legion guys, I mean, their comments afterwards, before we went to the actual meeting, were all about the same. Where they're saying they learned a lot, and they never thought about using a vehicle in such a way, or how to actually communicate when they're using it. And like you said, on that Saturday, I had a few of them come and go, "Oh my, we never thought about doing things that way, and we did it during the game, and holy crap, did it work?" Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the dismount drills for sure. Eastern had, I mean, there was a lot of good input at the AAR talking about communication, focusing on where the enemy is, getting everybody oriented on the enemy. Hey, we're in contact. Great, where? There. Don't be quiet in a gunfight. I think that was great. And then like I said, you had 2 tan Vics doing the tier 1, 1 green Vic. And we had every vehicle lane supported by 1 UTV. So nobody was walking. Everybody was doing mount and remount. Or dismount and mount. Okay. Bright and early Saturday morning. We encourage players to show up on Friday to check in, check out all the sponsors, because Saturday morning is going to go pretty quick. And before you know it, you got to have your ass somewhere, either over to the 9:30 Hilo brief, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Damn.
And then or over to formation. Hey, let me go chrono my basket full of guns. And this guy's running. I saw a player literally have an AK, an AR, another rifle. And, he had 4 different rifles that took 4 different magazines. They would necessitate 4 different kit setups. Hey, Sal, what do you think? I'm like, hey, brother, do you have 4 different kits for those 4 different weapons? The manual of arms is completely different from an AK to an AR, duh. But he's also doing MP5s. He's doing a shotgun. Like, dude, like, how are you going to make that work? And I said, I'll leave you with that. And I walk away. And woof, guys getting on the field with a sniper rifle and not carrying a quality backup like a pistol AR or a submachine gun. What do you think happened there? Oh, here you go. Here's from one arm. Took away breaking crews up to get stuff easier instead of large numbers to get everything. Command was super different. Yes. Okay, so Saturday morning, only Chalk 1 was supposed to take off from HLZ.
And yeah, no one got that memo apparently.
Yeah, because, and I know Snick said it at least 5 times, because that's what I was told to me by a player as they walked up to me at the Western Talk going, is this the HLZ? No. Where's your map? In the car. That's a good place for it. I get that people are excited. I get that if it's their first event, I know that feeling. The first time I showed up to Land Claws in 05 and it's at Zussman Mount site at Fort Knox, and I'm like, oh my God, there's like 500 people here. And there's the mount site. I'm like, oh, all right, where do I got to be? Oh, shit, And I'm like, damn, dude, I'm a combat veteran. And I'm like being overwhelmed. So I get when people are nervous. It was the guys who had flown before. Snick, challenges there. Like, don't cuss, don't cuss, don't cuss, don't cuss.
Customer service. Yeah, I think the 2 gentlemen on this podcast with us tonight were actually at the Hilo brief. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was there.
I think it was relayed by them as well while they were there, because they were helping me do the waivers. They were passing out pens.
Yep.
They were reminding everybody repeating exactly what I said. So I know it wasn't just myself who said it.
Right.
It was the other admin there as well. And
so I usually are over there and I usually start things off and then I walk away. And this time around, I was like, hey, dude, I don't need to do that. Snick's got plenty of freaking rotor time. You got it, brother. And usually my speech is, Hey, hi, I'm Sal. I've been to air assault school. I've have multiple combat air assaults under my belt. Been in a helicopter that's had a hard landing or two. What's this got to do with anything? Simple. Every time is the first time. You know,
Every time is the first time.
and the moment you think
Yep.
you got it, that's when
Even
that's
You're
when
wrong.
gravity's going to play a mean trick on you.
even on
Um,
airborne operations for airborne units, we have to do pre-jump and all that stuff over and over every single time.
Every single
Yeah.
time.
and who gets hurt? Who gets hurt?
Those who were not
Yeah.
prepared.
Or
People that don't listen.
or the guys that are like, "Hey, I got
Complacency
this."
kills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this. As the static line's wrapped around their arm.
Oh,
You know, hey guy. And I always ask the question, who here's done it before? Okay, great. You are the highest risks. Why? Because you think
yes.
you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Going to my son's cadet parent, day, and they were rappelling. My son was so confident about rappelling that the knucklehead almost went down the wall without hooking on first. His
shit.
instructor's like, "Hey, you forgetting something?" He's like, he goes, "Remember, confidence. If you get overconfident with something, that's when the accidents are going to happen." So he rappels down the wall and he comes over to me and he goes, "Dad, I now understand why you say when it's dangerous every time is the first time." I'm like, "Yeah, oh yeah." So in this case, you had guys. In this case, you had some guys that were a little overconfident and they didn't want to listen, or they were just so nervous. So hey guys, helicopters are not normal. It's not like a plane that wants to fly. A helicopter wants to rip itself apart, and it just happens to beat the air into submission. Um, I think the Huey's worth it. I think people love the Huey. Tell Paul, hey man, let's come back next year with the Huey. He's like, you got it. So, major success there. We're trying to find two.
I was
Trying
with
to find two
Snick.
M60s.
I was with Snick for the first 5 chalks, and I tell you what, Charlie Foxtrot is the only way to sum it up.
We got him on the bird. It worked.
We did.
In the end, everybody had a good time.
Those who knew where to be, yes, we got on chalk.
Yes. Next time better. And one guy asked me, "Hey Sal, I have a curious question. Why did you guys do it over there versus right here at the admin LZ?" And I went, "Well, for various reasons. One, Paul doesn't want to come in over a crowded LZ, and this is a very crowded LZ. You've got camping all right here. He's got a very narrow approach vector. If we put him out in the wood line, he's got plenty of come down. He doesn't have to stop and then land. That burns a lot of fuel."
Let the Pathfinder
do
the Pathfinder shit.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So, it is what it is. I mean, it's like, hey, plus, here's what really got him. I was like, plus, when we're taking pictures of you guys, the last thing anybody wants to see in the background is campers.
Yes.
And because he wasn't buying anything I was telling him about runway clearance and auto rotation clearance, and but the moment I said, "Don't want to ruin your immersion," he was like, "Oh yeah, that makes most sense."
Yeah.
You're Roger.
Plus, there was a mission afterwards. When you dismounted the helicopter, there was a mission objective after the helicopter.
Yes. What was the feedback for that? Because I never got a chance to go there and see it.
Man, some people wanted to run it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Austin and Reaper were down there, man. They were putting in work. They were putting in work, and the players they were having fun. And if they got their asses handed to them within the first 3 minutes, they're like, "Well, how much time do we have to run it back? Let's do this again." So they were down there.
Yeah.
Some of them were doing it twice.
So in the end, though, I think people were like, "God, you guys built a village down there." I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't get to see it, but yeah, built it, never got to see it." So that was good. Okay, Screaming Goat. Yeah, look at that, man. And that's what it's all about right there. So, okay, main game. 11 o'clock StartX, you had, let's go from one arm. That must have been an interesting mission. Not carrying that dummy again. We only had the press crew, so it's only 2 guys on the mission. This is CNN. Okay. So the main game starts at 11 o'clock. Western on the ropes. Clearly, they did not have good communication as to what their units were doing. They thought Abel 6, rumor had it, he was prostrate, passed out in his tent. Baker couldn't get up the hill to Lola. The enemy's all over freaking Sarah. Monica's getting hammered. Ripper's getting hammered at Betty. No one knows where anybody is. I saw the death spiral occurring from Fury in the Western talk. And I was like, all right, I'm going to walk back to the admin headquarters and print out the chalks for Snick. While I'm walking back, I just want to troop the line and see what the ground reality is. Yeah, before I took off to do that, Western had Archer and Bray did what they did at Viking. They kitted up and they were like, we're going to go and see what's going on. And they took off together with a PSD to kind of get the ground truth. They found out that Abel took Eve. It's just that Geezer was in a building and had no comms. Okay. No contact at Sarah. Rich Cudahy is on top at Lola. Yes, Ripper got destroyed at Betty. Knights got destroyed at Monica. So the fog of war was thick. But I heard it was a grind. Fitz, where were you at StartX, man?
I was crap. I don't even remember. I was up by the reactor building up top there.
Okay. So, all right. All I know is I went by, got things printed out. Hey, Mac.
Hey, kiddo.
Then I noticed there was a bunch of green guys in the parking lot. A bunch of Eastern players getting chow, and I went, well, it's 13:30. Uh-oh. And I caught a ride out to the Eastern Talk. And to Werewolf's credit, Werewolf had a plan to fight against the imaginary lunch break. He was going to rotate units. And I told him, I said, hey, man, that works one time. A relief in place only works once. Everybody on this podcast has a RIP TOA, relief in place, transfer of authority experience. You're always worried about the next unit coming up behind you to replace you. Yeah, that was a serious risk. And very much like Iron Dagger, they should have said, hey, I'm leaving the field now. I'm taking my squad with me. I'll be back at, what time do you want me back? Hey, and you really need you guys back by 14:30, Instead, guys were like, I want to go take a break. And they went to the parking lot. And, Werewolf had no troops. So it happened, man. So communication. I noticed that in phase 1. Western got their act together once they got the ground truth. And at one point, it was a 60,000 point difference. And then they ended the round at a 980 point difference with Eastern squeaking by in the lead. Barely. But I'll tell you, when I got over to Eastern's talk, everybody was laying in the grass. They were bushed. The guys were gassed. They fought hard at Betty and they fought their asses off at Monica.
The building was a building Echo where they had the roof that they could use. Yeah. They were fighting their butts off in the beginning. Warren and Commando guys were dropped there, and it was a constant battle for about an hour. They're fighting hard.
Yeah, and the technicals were doing great work, but it was wearing them out. It was wearing them out fast. Let me see. We'll play a video here. How intense the action was.
I'm here with the two
our favorite buddy here. All right, man. So, epic moment in Stonebreaker. All right, man. So, give me one.
We were being attacked by a tan technical. Give me one. We were being attacked immediately eliminated technical. Smiled. Helicopter flew over. Plunging fire. Got me.
Oh shit!
It's only one tooth per technical, folks.
Shit. It's only one
Worth it.
From the air.
From the air. Shout out to Tan.
From the air.
Shout out to his tooth. More later.
Oh, damn, from the air.
Yeah. Yeah. So, holy shit.
Yeah,
man.
don't tell me you can't shoot from my bird.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's one. But that should give you a sense of yeah, man, it was good action. ComCam here is good one for ComCam. Yeah, phase one, Eastern was holding some of the great choke points, and they were holding it down well. I think when among the staff, the general consensus was Eastern's doing what Eastern does. Super. I got one from Quentin. I'll put on here in a minute. Super hot start. The guys were like a freaking, a sparkler or a tracer, burning bright and hot, but it just couldn't last. Whereas Western was more like a crock pot. Turn it on, take a while to get hot. Quentin says Black Knights fought an easy defense at Monica, and it really wore out. He believes that it wore out Eastern. I believe that. Yeah, man. Holy shit. Phase one, I think, was a tactical draw, but Western really showed their colors by getting. From Colt, we held the field because we fought the enemy where they were not. Yeah, but it only works so much. You got to fight the enemy where they are at sometimes. And then that changed. Nighttime, right? Nighttime starts. One guy's like, well, it's because they had nods. Well, both sides had nods. I mean, honestly, 4 of us here know how to fight with or without nods. It's not that big of a deal. Some more than others. But I think it was guys just not willing to walk to get behind the enemy. Where Eastern had a just going straight to the hexaflora. I never imagined there'd be a huge fight at Nikki and at the hex.
Yeah, exactly. Right outside their talk.
Yeah. And when the guys, we can't get out of the talk, we'll go that way, just like Fury, but reverse. It wasn't on Western this time because it was Western at Fury where they just could not understand. If you head this way, you'll go around and it'll happen. And then on Sunday morning, Task Force Raven pulled it off, and they knew nothing about that AO because they had been guerrillas all day Saturday. Here we have Eastern. The boys are tired, they're footsore, and they're going straight into the meat grinder. Red, where were you at for the night phase?
I'm sorry?
Where were you at during the night phase?
So Saturday night phase, I went in with onto Kate, and again, that whole meat grinder. I mean, you had Western had control of it, and Eastern kept trying to come in with technicals and take over, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, I think they were trying the old tried and true. Let's just send armor down there without infantry.
Yeah, you send 2-3 Vics with 2-3 platoons or rifle teams, and you're not getting it done. They're embedded on that one.
Snick, where were you at the night phase?
Well, after clearing the bird and getting back out on the field, I started out basically on the top of the hill and then came down around Betty, and then I ended up on the backside at the hexafluoride building in between the huge refueling tankers and the hexafluoride building. It just seemed that's where everybody was. Even when I would hop on the UTV and go out in the trees and check on the objectives, the SAM site, and the cargo hold, there was nobody out there. Boxers were counting, but I'm looking around. I even can't find nobody. I hear people, but it might be like 1 or 2 footsteps, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's an admin," and then they'd crawl right back in there. But like literally, I mean, objectives out on the west side of the field were being held maybe by a squad of 5
Yep.
Yeah.
at best. I mean, everything seemed to be centered around the hexafluoride building, so everybody was getting drawn that direction. I mean, you did have some pretty good action Vic-wise down at the firing range when they were trying to get right back on the hard ball coming from it slipped my mind. What was the SAM site objective name? Wendy. Coming from Wendy.
Wendy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming down route Comanche, there was a lot of Vic interaction there. That was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
Vic stuff.
And Eastern had a plan to use. They had a truck and a trailer, and their goal was to load that truck and trailer up with dismounts and get them to a dismount point and have them walk in the rest of the way. For whatever reason, the communications were not getting down to the lowest level. And
Yeah.
I mean, and I got it, man. Communications both ways, though. Like, you know, the 4 of us in here know that you got to fight to communicate. You got to fight from the low end and from the top end. That you guys have got to pull information. You got to push information. So, you know, it's like, well, that guy, stop. Get a mirror, point it at you first, okay, and go, I failed to communicate. What I failed to do was ask for communication, ask for orders, or I failed to communicate the situation on the ground. You know, Quinn's giving me some good stuff.
Yeah, what I saw with
they were getting harassed in the open terrain by technicals, but then they could push the line and wait of the north and west. So I know as guys get tired, they start relying on just go move to the sound of the gunfire, just go straight to the fight, and that wore out both sides. You know, but Eastern, you know, the night phase, you know, 54,000 points, 26,000 points. It cut deep going into Sunday morning.
Yeah,
you know,
what we saw with the truck and trailer was the truck got too far forward that by the time they saw action, they couldn't dismount and the truck was dead. And everyone in the trailer is dead too.
Yeah, it was.
They got
joking around
forward,
like a Chinook
out of the trailer.
Yeah, it was like that truck and trailer reminded me of a Chinook. It was going to get shot down.
Good old shit hooks.
Yeah, that thing was getting hit all the time. Every time I saw it coming down, it made a corner and someone nuked it.
Yep.
They just got too far forward. If they would have backed off a little bit, let them dismount, and then go forward, draw the attention, get the VIX stopped, and now you have troops on the ground.
Yeah. Let's talk about Sunday morning. Let's start with this one.
Ooh, Sunday morning.
Go for it, brother.
All right, what's up? I'm Nick, coming out of Tennessee down here.
All right, what's up? I'm Nick, coming out of Tennessee down here.
Coming out of Tennessee down here.
Guys, I got some Dagger 6.
Nick,
doing great
coming out of
hosting.
Tennessee down here.
Guys, I got
Rolling
some
with
Dagger.
That's
DBT
me,
guys.
sorry.
I got some Dagger.
Great hosting.
Dagger 6. Nick, you're doing great hosting. And the
Dagger.
Danger Rangers from
Dagger 6.
Florida.
Nick, you're
Y'all
great
showing me a
hosting.
great time. This is a great
Danger
event.
Rangers from
Having a
Florida.
fucking blast
Y'all
here.
showing
I'm a
me a
Milsim
great
West
time.
regular,
Great
but
event.
this is great,
Having a
okay?
fucking blast here.
Like,
Milsim West
it's good
regular.
both ways.
Hey,
awesome,
brother. Thank you for coming, man. We'll see you at the next one. Hey, awesome, brother. Thank you for coming, man. We'll see you at the next one.
Little bit of echo, but that'll be all right.
A little bit.
And then a little bit, a lot. Somebody's echoing pretty hard.
I guess that's where they're dropping.
This was a good one.
Not me. I found the mute button.
What do you think about them? They got grit.
And that was Sunday morning's drop. Both sides got forward drops. They got the start of their frontline trace. Eastern had generally from Windy over to Betty, straight line. And then you had Western starting at Kate over to Nikki over to Eve over to Monica. That was the frontline trace. Both sides could start their special operations forces forward. Recondo dropped on Sarah.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of Baker
Holy
Company.
shit.
Um,
It didn't take long for them to fold. And I was just, yeah. I walked them in, and they were just overwhelmed.
Fitz, where'd you start at on Sunday morning?
Actually, it was on the hill again. I was bouncing between there and the hexafluoride building because that's where everything was happening.
Yeah.
And it was just,
Snick.
I mean, it didn't take long for hexafluoride to become the Alamo.
Oh, damn.
Snick, where'd you start?
Oh man, Sarah.
You were at Sarah.
I started at Sarah. Hurrah. I was there for a total of minute. The 3-2 game went on, sir, and then I've got to do my thing for you guys. So
Yeah.
recovery starts at 3-2-1 game on for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end until days after the event. So yeah, there's your Sunday morning and my Sunday morning, sir, a little different.
That's right. My bad. Sorry. I was up on top at Eve at StartX. That was savage because you had a little bit of special unit over here, and then you around the corner you had Able Company in the defense. You had guys down the hill at Monica, and then you had Royal Rifles. Bam, just right there top side on Eve, and they took it. But they, I don't know what happened though. It was they started slugging it out. With the guys with the Western trying to backpedal and take Eve. I got some great video from that. Comcam. Let me see. Eve got hectic pretty quickly. Yes, indeed it did. Lots of frags getting tossed over the containers. That was a hot spot. And I noticed some of the Royals were trying to move around the reactor building, trying to get behind and trying to action on Lola. Then later, things were spiking in the headquarters, both Western and Eastern, because nobody wanted to lose this thing by 32 seconds. I sent freaking Coach over to Eastern Talk. Poison was over at Western Talk. Fires on this one, we cut back the amount of fires for each side. But it really, I think both sides are getting good at using fires. They just gotta rely on the map. Don't bring your stuff. Use the map, the tech that we gave, because we use MGRS. Pretty standard. Helton said they got ambushed on both sides. Yeah, you took contact from the direction of Lola and on the other side of Eve. So Coach went over there. Like I said, both sides are spiking in terms of frustration and not wanting to blow it or trying to come back from it. 54,000 points difference if you sat on 4 objectives for 3.5 hours. That would have pretty much sunk the game for a side. I think the game ended at about 26,000 point difference. Do the math. That's really 2 objectives for 2.5 hours. Like you're down. I should have done the math. 3,600 points per objective per hour. So, I think the most they could grab, Eastern could grab and hold, was 2 objectives. I saw some great shooters that were able to just walk, put the boots to the ground, and they walked all the way over to Eve. They walked all the way through the Jock building, went to Lola, shot Geezer as I was talking to him. I was like, "Oh shit!" Swapped out Lola. One guy hid in the green container right by Eve, accidentally locked himself in the container. If I hadn't been standing there, he'd have been in that container till index. I opened it up. I was like, he goes, "Is anybody around?" I was like, "No." And I walked away, and he came out, swapped Eve, but then he screwed up. Instead of going back to his little hide, he went into the Jock building. I said, "We'll never see him again." And then he magically appeared on the other side, and I'm talking to Able 6, and Able 6 is like, who's this guy? And it was too late. He popped Able 6 and then went and swapped Lola. I gave him a patch. I was like, dude, you're awesome. So the event, index, major lessons learned. Communication for me. I hate using the communication. It's like the easy one, but in this case, you got to tell somebody what you're doing. Like, hey, we're coming off the field. I got me and my 5 guys. We're in Chaos Company. Hey, I'm a leader. I'm stepping off the field. I'll be back. So and so's in charge. Make sure he knows he's in charge. Don't just take off and go, oh, my XO's got it. The XO's like, I'm in the porta potty, dude. I'm not even on the field. And that was both sides. So, vehicles. Which side had more vehicle integration?
Western, clearly.
Yeah, and I think there's
Yeah,
a good
for
reason
sure,
that.
Tan.
When you had 2 out of 3 lanes on the Tier 1B Western vehicles, that hurt. Eastern only had 1 Vic. So come Saturday, he's trying to preach to everybody, and no one's listening to him.
Nope.
That hurt a little bit. Now, I think players are starting to understand. If you have a vehicle like the FUPA, it can't carry dismounts. So it's more like a tank than an infantry fighting vehicle. So there is 2 different types of vehicles. There's the transport, and then there's the gun truck.
Bradley versus Abram.
Yeah.
So,
working in a 2 vehicle section, that's a big deal. That's why we only gave them 2 recovery kits. And I think to be fair with Werewolf, he tried a talk light on this. He didn't bring his whole talk out. He was like, I don't need a generator. We're going to go light. I was like, well, you need a generator for Cerberus. So his talk setup, having 2 tents parallel with each other with a wall in between, that wall might as well have been 3 feet thick and reinforced concrete, because there's no communication going between them. Western tried that once, didn't work for them. They lost that event. That was, I want to say that was
Serious Viking.
That was not this Serious Viking. That was the previous one.
Yeah.
Colonel Mendoza, that Serious Viking, that chain link fence in between his intel guys and his command post, that chain link fence might as well have been a 3-foot thick wall. He knew when he walked in, he goes, that this should not be here. They need to be on this side of the fence, or we need to be on that side of the fence. And I said, yep, you're right. That's a poor design. And so Werewolf's like, hey, I'm going to try this light fighter style. And I went, okay, Freddie's tried that. Kent's tried that. Now you're going to try it. I think Javier Franco, that one time he did Eastern Leadership, tried, fighting off a battle board. And this is where you want to try it, right? Consequence-free decision-making. No one's going home in a box. No folded flags getting passed out. No condolences or no Gold Star mothers being made. But, all right, man. Might not want to do that again. And then no matter what, don't get frustrated. I really wish we could play, because I love it when people run with us at Thunderdome, and they go, man, you guys are just focused. Like, yeah, we're not playing Airsoft. No shit. It's something else to us. That's why I'm looking forward to upcoming events where we get to run together with the players, because they get to see how we see things. But yeah, Iron Knife, September, back at GTI. I've talked to Colonel Mendoza. He's got a clean bill of health. Hopefully Dale will be back on his feet. I'm working to get another field grade officer to come out, and I want to put colonels at each talk and have the colonels mentor and teach and coach the players that are going to be on the command staffs. And then I've even offered to do a tactical leadership lab on day 0, where Thursday evening, the guys who want to pay for it show up, and we do a 45-minute war. We do a little bit of classroom. We do a 45-minute war game, and then, okay, great. Y'all are ready for tomorrow. And everybody seems to be wanting to do that. So that's what we'll do.
GTI?
Yeah, back at GTI.
Cool.
Which is a good thing, right? We didn't screw the AO up because they wanted us back there and they wanted us to sign the paperwork that, last Sunday. Epic win there. And I was like, oh, wow, you guys want us back that fast? Yeah, can you do it? Hell yeah, we can do it. Let's do it. So 19, 20, 21, September 2025, Iron Knife. It will be the Iron Series. So 12 hours, phase 1.
Cool.
Ibuprofen, baby.
6 hour. Yeah, Meloxicam, Celebrex. Take a break at 11 o'clock, and then 2300, and then come back on at 09 on Sunday. We all know that the long games are where Eastern really thrives.
Yeah.
You give Eastern a long game and they're at it. But I think players are going to have to seriously work on a communication bit. Hey, where are you going? Who are you taking with you? When are you coming back?
And conditioning.
Yes.
Yeah, watch out for that tiny heart syndrome.
Well, no, I mean, I saw a lot of fit dudes over on Eastern. I just think that they just had to, they were carrying the load for sure.
Yeah.
There were some guys that were like,
there were some that were, and there were a lot that just walked away.
Conditioning. That requires everything from mental health to physical.
Yeah.
You got to buy in too.
Yeah.
I mean, don't mistake your privilege for authority. If you're going to buy into the military experience, for fuck's sake, somebody's going to be in charge and they're going to tell you what to do. And, if your privilege outweighs their authority, chances are shit ain't going to go your way.
Yeah.
Anybody's way.
Yeah.
Yep.
So buy it.
Yeah. When people go, it's Airsoft. So says the guy who's losing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't go for our events either. It goes for other event promoters. They if you don't buy into the tickets you're paying for, I know this is a crazy concept, and maybe it's when you read about what you're buying and you buy into it, give into it. This is what you paid for. Somebody's going to yell at you. You're going to get some type of military experience. There's going to be an authority figure. Somebody's going to tell you what to do. You might not do it.
And they're going to bark at you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so everyone's learning something, right?
Absolutely.
People come to our events. They learn a little bit about themselves. The staff educates them, staff mentors them. They also realize that, hey, I've really got to change my leadership style depending on the audience that I'm trying to motivate. Yes, I don't need to. I'm like, okay, Grasshopper, you've learned the lesson. Other people trust but verify. Well, I told them to go up there. And where's Able 6 right now? I don't know. Well, hey, time to jock up and go find out.
You gotta find out.
And that's why I want these guys to run with us at whatever event we're going to and go, hey, Sal likes to take a walk. Sal likes to troop the line. Sal likes to know what's going on. I don't like being in vehicles when I'm in command because I have no idea. I don't wear ear pro when I'm in command because I want to hear things. When I see a commander wearing hearing in the talk, I'm like, dude, you're going to miss something. Are also going to be a lot louder than you should. You'll be yelling. Not good. But again, it's a leadership laboratory. People are learning, experimenting, growing from it. People are like, well, I can do it. Okay, dude, work your way up because you don't want to be the next catastrophic failure. That's, and that's the reason why we're bringing in, some actual military officers to help do that tactical and operational planning, that art and science. That way they can also do a little healing, because it kind of matters to guys like me.
Yep.
But it ain't easy being at the top. People are expecting you to have a lot of answers, and
You don't.
there it is. You don't. It's well, hang on. You got to give me the information so I can make a decision. So that's where Iron Knife is coming. Will we do a Vietnam game? Yes. But the staff's rolling with the players, and that's going to probably be a lot of fun. But yeah, more later on that one. All right, we're just at an hour. Hey guys, closing thoughts, what you're looking forward to around the corner, be it TCA, be it Centurion, be it VFA. What are you guys looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to my first Texas event.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
I guess I got to go down to Texas paintball and go set that up. Okay. Snick?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really looking for Centurion and Mustatuck, man, because we're bringing up the Humvee. That's my baby. We all get to run together. It's a tight knit group. People cry in shame and take cold showers afterwards, and then they come out like a new man, screaming to the high heavens, "I want you! I need more blood!" But it's a great time, and we all get to run together, and I get to do my job. Everybody gets to do their jobs, and it brings back a little bit of nostalgia that we had.
And what does the Humvee not do?
The Humvee doesn't fucking stop in an ambush.
Oh!
Fitz?
I'm fucking foaming at the mouth. Yeah. No,
Fitz, what are you looking forward to, Fitz?
You know me, I'm pretty simple. I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody and being there and just having fun.
He's still smiling for all the Huey time he got. That's what he's still smiling about.
He did.
Oh yeah, there was that too.
Sal, did you see that Paul coined him?
Yeah, I was there. I was there for that.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was stellar.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hey, thanks for coming on tonight, guys, and doing this. I love it when we get together. We never have enough time to do this in person, but this has definitely helped us get the word out to folks. Again, hey guys, when in doubt, call your hits, man, and just get better every day. So we'll see y'all at the next one.
Peace out.
Right.